Hey, welcome to session 5 of Becoming a People Who. So as we've been doing these sessions together, you guys should be familiar with the Discovery Bible Study format, where we look at a passage of Scripture together and we just have a couple of helpful things. What does this say about God, Jesus, or His plan? What does this say about people in general? And how can I obey this Scripture? One of the things that we do pretty regularly is we retell the story that we just read. We retell it in our own words, like we're trying to tell it to a neighbor or a friend. And also part of this is so that we can retell it to those around us. We retell this story in a risky way so that we can take the good of God that we're learning about and spread it to others. And so we wanted to have a conversation about what it looks like to do some risky sharing with those that we care about. So I'm going to invite my friend Maury to have a conversation about that. Well, hey, I'm here with my friend Maury. Maury, what's up, man? How's your day going?
Pretty snazzy, man.
Going good?
Yeah,
Snazzy, huh? Okay.
Jazz.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, hey, we're going to have a conversation together about risky sharing and about retelling the stories that we are learning through the Scriptures.
Yeah.
And so, Maury, I just have a question. We're just going to have a conversation, just a couple of questions. What is important to you about retelling our stories? Why does it matter?
Yeah. I would say it just gives me another opportunity to partner with the people that are with me. Mm-hmm. It allows a chance for me to, one, hear their perspective. You learn a lot by reading, and the things that come in your heart and mind as you read and discover. But it's a whole nother thing to hear what things came up in the people that you were with.
Totally.
So it gives me that opportunity. And also, I love to learn by doing. Yeah. I'm a visual learner, but I also love to put in action the things. It helps me remember.
Yeah, it kind of helps what the story kind of jump off the page, and people retell things. You're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. It's interesting. Yeah, so as you retell stories, both in a a session with your group, but also with the people in your life close to you but far from God, what has been helpful for you as you learn to retell the story that you're reading in a risky way?
It's been helpful for me to just be intentional in thinking about sharing the heart of Jesus, the things that I'm discovering about the characteristics of God, as I'm discovering, and applying that to the situations and the conversations that I'm having with my neighbor that doesn't believe, or somebody I met at a coffee shop that I don't know if they have a relationship with God or not. So
totally.
Yeah.
I think it also it just forces us to say, okay, I'm not just going to read the story and let that be it, but I'm actually going to do something with this story and tell it to someone else.
Yeah.
So in your own life, I'm going to talk about this with myself too, what does it look like for you to risky share? What are some examples of stories that you've shared, or just going out and talking to a neighbor or something like that? What does it look like for you as you risky share and retell the stories that God's teaching you?
Yeah, I think it looks kind of like what I just said, actually being intentional about inviting Jesus into my conversation.
Totally.
For example, I have a relationship with a group of people that until last month I had never met before. We met playing Call of Duty.
Okay,
and
that's awesome.
Literally, I was never ever intentional about introducing Jesus into our conversation. It was always just shooting the breeze.
Yeah.
But now I approach some of my interactions, not all of them, but some of my interactions with those people as a chance to just introduce Jesus into their lives. Because now that I have done that and taken that step, I'm able to discover that they don't know God.
Yeah.
That's obviously our calling as believers, is to share the gospel. So
totally. I think what you even shared too, this idea of the relationship that it's not with every single person, right?
Yeah.
You're not just shouting it from the street.
Yeah.
You do with people that you have people that you have a relationship
Yeah.
with. So for me, what it's looked like is I go to the same gym most days of my work week, and there was this lady named Kate, and she had not gone to work that day. She was like, I'm just taking a personal day. And I was about to leave the gym, and I just kind of stirred up you should ask Katie if she needs prayer.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then this idea of I'm going to risky share with this person because it matters.
Yeah.
And so I just went up to Katie and I said, hey, I know you're having a hard week. Tell me what's going on. And she kind of shared a little bit. And then I just said, hey, is it okay if I pray with you? Yeah. And you could just tell how much it mattered to her. I don't know if a lot of people in her life do that. And so I was trying to psych myself out of doing it, and then I was just obedient, and it led to a really good conversation. I got to pray with her.
Yeah.
And so I think this idea of like really risking it, it can be scary, but a lot of times like it actually is really meaningful, and people are really appreciative of it, right? But we just got to make the decision to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think what's really cool about your story is that you had the opportunity to be obedient to the Spirit or to do what you were comfortable doing.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big parts of risky sharing is stepping out of your comfort zone and doing something that you necessarily wouldn't do in your day-to-day life.
Totally. So. And that's to be honest, I didn't really want to do it, but I knew I needed to, and I knew it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so as we talk about risky sharing, we just know that it's really important, and we kind of step out of our comfort zone. But when we step out of our comfort zone, we get to share the good of God to others. So as you are about to go back into your session with your people, I just have a couple of challenges for you. How can you retell the story that you are about to read in just a moment in a risky way with those around you? Who in your life needs to hear the story about what God is teaching you through this story? Coming together and reading scriptures and growing as a group is so good and so important, but there's a difference between a Bible study and a Bible doing. And God is calling us to be people who go and do, who go out to our people and share the good of God in a risky way. So that's my challenge, is how can you retell this story this week in your people's life? Hope you guys have a great session, and we'll see you soon.